Every Meet the Teacher night or parent-teacher conference, I always have this question get dropped. What can I do to make sure my child is successful in your class? For reference, I teach biology for a living, and any school I taught at, it's pretty much treated as, oh, it's horrible. It's the first time you truly feel like you're in high school or hell. At first, I sorta just gave the general study skills rundown. Don't cram, do the homework, be at home at a certain time, go to sleep before a certain time. And if you can't sleep, get some caffeine. Make sure your child bathes. Yes, I have to actually say that because some of these children really don't. It's bad. Never teach at an all-boys school. But there's something that does connect student success. And while wealth is a factor in that, for every Chloe Bourgeois, there's also a Tony Stark. I'm talking about something else. And based off the title of this video, you know what I'm talking about. Parental involvement. It's not merely just being present, it's also the type of involvement. Every single teacher has this story. A child brings home a bad grade, or quite possibly is failing a class. The parent decides to go in and scream at the teacher about, how dare you, the worst teacher my child has ever had. I want to speak to the vice principal. Meanwhile, you should, no, must give my child extra credit. These are entitled Karens who believe the whole heaven forbid you actually teach students something and give them a grade that tries to as best reflect the knowledge they have actually performed, because that interferes with whatever the heck they're doing. This is a perfect example of bad parental involvement. Parental involvement is not showing up to yell at the teacher by making a wild tale about how your child is being singled out by the teacher and how that child deserves extra credit. Parental involvement would be less reactive and more proactive. For starters, if you're doing this at the end of a quarter or any other marking period, odds are I probably have contacted your child directly or you through an email saying, hey, so-and-so, you missed the quiz on bacterial diseases. Please select a date and time that is appropriate for you. If not, please name your date and time, and maybe I'll work something out with you. I could have also sent an indirect notice as well, saying, hey class, at the end of the quarter, the clock is ticking. If you have any assignments marked as missing in the LMS, please turn it in by this date. If you have to make up a test or quiz, please email me with a time and a date. I'm available on the following dates and times. When a parent walks in to scream at me at the end of a quarter, it's usually because this bull and are seemingly dumbfounded by the idea that children clearly aren't acting the way that they are acting at home. They think their child acts like an angel in my class, when in reality their child might not even be present because they decided to go cut class. Good luck taking a test or quiz without actually being there. I would also argue that parents who micromanage their kids are also doing them a major disservice. Back to the aforementioned bacteria quiz. Had a tiger parent basically email me half an hour after I published the grades asking me what her child did wrong. Tiger parents, please. I have 2 last names from East and Southeast Asia. I know what it's like. I know what your intentions are. But you are doing your child a disservice. Yelling at your child for getting a 95 and not a 100 is not going to make them better. In fact, when it comes to an impasse where your child can't simply solve or work around a solution, they'll become very easily stressed out. Not to mention, they are not going to have an easy time accepting the fact that ranges can be valid and not very specific answers. It's just very poor everything. It's just setting them up to be disappointed later in life. And of course, there's always the possibility that I made a mistake when grading or inputting. Sometimes I screw up inputting because I skipped a name or inserted a grade twice. And the last thing you probably want to do is see a clerical error and just yell at your kid for basically no reason. There's also the other issues. You as a parent aren't going to be around forever, and the last thing you want is your child to chase your shadow, constantly looking for validation that can't be given and unable to be truly happy. Or worse, They'll crave their own validation elsewhere, and you cannot predict whether that validation source is going to be a good influence or a drop-dead awful influence. In terms of tiger parenting, I'm seeing them a lot less nowadays. I think I can only count, I can count the amount of tiger parents I've dealt with on one hand. I'm more likely to get screeched at by a parent who cares about getting the grades so it doesn't interfere with the vacation being planned for later this summer. School is treated as babysitting with a diploma on the side. And teachers, if they are putting F's in the system, we are clearly bad at this customer service gig. It's why many parent-teacher conferences go nowhere. There are around 25 students in a classroom. Quite possibly it's closer to 30 nowadays. We have around 45 minutes in class. Imagine 45 minutes spread between around 25 students who all don't want to be there. It's going to be difficult to be an influence in their lives. It's why parents need to cooperate with us, the teachers, in order to make sure their child can learn the material the best they can possibly do, whether it's holding them accountable at home, because after all, they spend 45 minutes in our class, around 8 hours at the school. They spend a lot more time at home, especially the fact that you're the one who gave birth to this child and raised this child. We can open doors, but we can't make them walk through it. Sometimes you need to be the one dragging the child through those doors we open. In addition, parenting is a verb. You have to be proactive at parenting. If you're only reacting to whatever bad thing that rolls around whenever grades are due, that's not good parenting. That's just reacting to whatever is happening. You're not actively saying, okay, here's a problem early on. Let's see how we can work on this and make sure it doesn't occur again. And if it does occur again, we can make the amount of times it occurs to be rarer. But when it comes to tiger parenting, that's way too proactive. You are setting your child up for failure even as a tiger parent. I speak from experience. Because fundamentally, when you tiger parent, you are destroying your child's will to succeed. They are not succeeding because they want to succeed. They're succeeding because they fear the reaction. Because to treat everything from missing points on a test to actually failing the test with the same amount of scorn, contempt, and rage, or just one level of rage and another level of rage, it's not going to make the child a better student. It just makes them a more fearful person who is just validation chasing, or at least trying to avoid being yelled at, and they will take the path of least resistance to avoid getting yelled at. I truly believe that education is a right and school is a gift. I would be a bad Asian if I said it wasn't. But at the same time, school is not your only teacher, and you cannot just simply outsource parenting to school. You cannot make us, the teacher, accountable for what your student is doing. Because at the end of the day, it's their life. Because when that child grabs a diploma off the stage, or rather in the gym right next to the stage, it's going to be a problem. Because throughout their whole life, you have outsourced all the responsibility elsewhere. As a parent, you blamed the teachers in case the student was doing poorly, and sometimes it's justifiable. Yes, there are bad teachers. I had plenty of them in undergrad. But you cannot keep pushing all the responsibility on the teacher, because once that student gets the diploma, it's going to be really bad to have it all crash down. There will be no one to blame for their actions except themselves. Those are just my thoughts. Please consider liking, subscribing, tipping the channel on Ko-fi. This is Cyril signing off.